a lot of networks, aggregators, clusters, they all look the same. Do you own your book still, or are you signing your book over? It's not a secret. People can see it, right? They see it, they experience it when they're out at our events. You know, in our HawkSoft user group as proof, people don't fly across the country for a vendor that they tolerate. What I do mostly is make sure that the right people are talking to each other, whether that's agents, carriers, vendors, people at HawkSoft. A lot in this industry runs on relationships, and really that's where I live.
Welcome to Connected Conversations in Insurance. My name is Huang. I'll be your host today. I've got a great guest today, Michael Ley. He's from HawkSoft. He is their Director of Network Relations, really working with a lot of agency networks and folks around the industry. I've known him for years. I've seen him on our event circuit at a lot of different conferences that we go to. It's always great. He does this cool, sock exchange with other vendors or swag exchange with us. We don't have the socks going yet, but always great to see him on the road. I saw him a couple weeks ago, and I thought it'd be great to do an episode with him. So yeah, welcome to the show, Mike.
Absolutely. Appreciate the invite. So excited to be here today.
Yeah. So Michael, I'm curious. I gave you a high level of what you do, but maybe you can give us kind of the real deal of what your role is. I'm sure I didn't do it justice. So,
it's funny. I've been here 4 years now, or starting year 4, in middle of year 4, I should say. And I get the question a lot, like, what is your title? What is it that you do? And it's always funny because I can't really put into words sometimes what it is I do. Because I'm probably one of the most traveled people at HawkSoft. There's a few others that are right up there with me and stuff. But at the end of the day, what I do mostly is make sure that the right people are talking to each other, whether that's agents, carriers, vendors, people at HawkSoft. A lot in this industry runs on relationships, and really that's where I live. So it's really building relationships with people out in our insurance community. So that's vendors, again, with our agencies and stuff like that. I assist the sales team with things. I work with our developers. So I'm really kind of all over the place, but the crutch of it goes back to relationships.
Yeah. So you're a people person, clearly.
Sometimes. No. Yeah, no. I do enjoy meeting people. I enjoy talking with people. And prior to HawkSoft, I was in the agency for 22 years. So I got to, I was in the sales side of things. I helped lead the agency and that sort of thing. And so I took that and brought that here with HawkSoft. So again, building relationships for 22 years with people, it makes sense here at HawkSoft as well.
Yeah. So that's a great segue. I was curious about your journey to where you are now, and maybe your journey within insurance. So you were an insurance agency owner. What was the deal?
Yep, both. So my agency was actually started in 1987 by my dad. He started the agency because he saw how much money insurance carriers were making. Because I have 2 older brothers that kept getting into car accidents. So he's like, oh, well, they're making money. Let's go into this, right? And then his first paycheck, he'll still tell you to this day, his first paycheck for that first month was $57. And he's like, I think I made a mistake. Because, you're solely commissioned most of the time. And so anyways, that was in 87. I grew up basically learning the agency and being part of it and stuff like that. And I always looked at it and said, there's absolutely no way. I'm never going into insurance. Like, my family was there. That's not the path I want to take. So actually I went into education, and I was a teacher for 3 years. But I got laid off due to budget cuts and stuff. And so when that occurred, that's when I was like, let's give this insurance thing a try. And so did that, but I kind of did my own spin on it. I wasn't the traditional salesperson. It was, again, educating people on what they're purchasing, but then also building the relationships. And so over time, things happened. You grew the agency just because of those relationships and everything. We weren't high pressure sales. And so that's really the culture here at HawkSoft too. And when my agency was looking for a management system back in 2012, we chose HawkSoft. So I got to know the family. I got to know the HawkSoft culture, the community at HawkSoft, and the community of agents and vendors. And so when I was starting to think about my next course of action, so to speak, or where I'm going in life, I sat down with the folks here at HawkSoft, and they were like, "Hey, here's a couple options. Let's talk." And so we had a good conversation, and then this role was kind of born from that conversation. So they kind of knew as HawkSoft started, it was Paul Hawkins was the sole salesperson, and then he hired a salesperson, and then a couple more. And so as he's grown the business, he's looked to see, okay, where's the next thing that we have to have a body to fill? What kind of role is that? And then they find the person to fit that role. And it's pretty unique in how they do that. And I guess I was lucky enough to fill the role of, at that time, it was networks and associations. And recently we brought on another person to kind of split. So somebody's focused on the associations portion of our industry, which is fantastic. So that's how I got here. That's really my background. So
agent network in our definition is your aggregators and those agency networks, people with the upline. And then the associations is more like Big I and that sort of deal.
Yep. Big I, PIA. Then there's some other associations that are out there and stuff too. But yeah, more legislatively is what they handle, and some education and stuff. Whereas the networks, they do a lot more with the carrier access, education, tech stack, things like that.
Gotcha. So as the networks guy, you talk to a lot of, agency owners, agency leadership, and the network leadership and managers as well. What is what are some of those common objections you see maybe from a network perspective? Let's start there. What are some of those common challenges that are coming up or that you're hearing from those conversations?
So differentiation on a network perspective, that's been a bigger thing the last couple of years. And really a lot of networks, aggregators, clusters, they all look the same. And they know it. And so it's really, how do they differentiate themselves to help agencies, but then also the struggles that they're dealing with tend to be around member engagement, their retention for members, and then tech investment pressure. So obviously we talk a lot about AI. That's been the big buzzword over the last year to 2 years in the industry and everything. Where is AI taking insurance? Where are our carriers dealing with that? How can we get things back in a timely fashion to our end user, which is generally the customer that the agency is selling to? So how can our networks help with that? How can they make sure that they're on the cusp of the technology and getting vendors in to educate their agencies on this? And then really all of that kind of goes into how are they proving themselves and proving value beyond commission splits? When agencies typically would look at a network in the past, it was really about a commission split. It was about carrier, getting the carrier access and stuff, but it's becoming much more. And that's really where a lot of networks are starting to they have to open up their doors a little bit more, have to kind of loosen the reins a little bit, and get that member engagement back up.
Yeah. There's the core thing of what they do, and then they need to build on the extra value add options there, be that through mentorship, training. They also, obviously they have different focuses, right? Working with more scratch types of agencies. Others work with, bigger agencies and giving them access, and their needs are a little bit different. But yeah, we're always trying to, every business is trying to grow in some form or fashion, and whether that's through growing the number of member agencies or looking at getting more out of each of those member agencies is important.
Yes.
And I think a lot of that is handled through their philosophy and how they approach that growth. And obviously how that adapts downstream, right, to the different agencies.
If your insurance agency staff is still spending hours a day on manual data entry, you aren't just losing time, you're losing money. The modern agency isn't built on paperwork, it's built on automation. Canopy Connect is the industry-leading platform that automates your insurance intake. From personal lines to complex commercial loss run summaries, Canopy Connect pulls verified data from 400 carriers instantly. It integrates seamlessly with the tools you already use like PL Rating or EasyLinks, so your team can focus on what they do best, selling and building relationships. It's time to level up your workflow. Go to usecanopy.com/intake or click the button below and discover why the top performing agencies in the country trust Canopy Connect to power their growth. Faster quotes, better data, more wins. That is Canopy Connect, the complete insurance intake platform.
What do you think, as a specific maybe agency owner, like what are they looking at for it when they're looking at an agency network and like, I'm maybe going to switch or join an agency network? What do you think like they're thinking about? What's their criteria?
Obviously, I mean, it'd be kind of foolish to not bring up the revenue piece. I mean, they're going to be looking at commission splits, right? So, I mean, we want to make sure that we're making money. We want to make sure that we have access. And so I know when some agencies have looked like, hey, they had a carrier, we'll call it carrier A. I don't want to pick on any specific carrier, but they had carrier A for a long time inside their agency, but they couldn't ever get to the next level of where they could get contingency bonuses, where they could have underwriting authority, where they could have some other perks. By allowing them to join a network with that book, it now puts them in that spot that they've been looking for, so they can actually get more revenue by combining their book. Now, one thing that is owners are looking at joining a network, that's the one thing you want to double check with your network and double check and see is, do you own your book still, or are you signing your book over? And so, when you're looking at a network, it's, the transparency. They want to know what the cost of transparency or the lack of it is. They want to make sure that they still have that carrier access without pushing in the wrong direction, or without having to say, hey, I need X amount in premium in the next 6 months. Whereas when you're independent, a lot of times you have specific goals from carriers, or they may pull a contract. So really it's looking overall at the revenue, looking at their carrier access. But as they're starting, if they're already involved in a network and looking to leave and go to another one, or just looking in general at a network, it's not just about the carrier access anymore in the revenue. So you want to double check and see, are there tech options? Are there some things that you get access to? I know a lot of them are now starting to do some AI reporting to help you with benchmarking and looking at the future of the agency. What are the other things that you get with it? Is it something with your E&O? Is it something with discounts for other services? Things like that. I know a lot of networks out there help with hiring and retaining talent inside the agency as well. So that's something that many small agencies don't have an HR department or anything like that. The cost of training and stuff is huge on a smaller agency. But as you're looking at those networks and everything, which you want to look at is those long-term lock-ins, in the vague exit terms. So definitely read a contract as you're looking at those networks. Not every network is created equal. Mm-hmm. They're in a relationship business too. They want you there for the long term. There are some networks out there that just offer a month-to-month agreement, and you just have to give them a 60-day notice. And that's fantastic. Sounds great. But what happens if they're like, hey, yeah, you join this network, and 6 to 9 months later, you're like, hey, you know what? It wasn't this investment that I'm putting in here. It's not really giving me something. So it looks good on paper. But at the end of the day, like, the carrier contracts may not be as beneficial with that network because they don't have the longevity of the agency. So again, you're looking at the relationship, you're looking at your entire book of business. And if that network can't explain the cost and value in plain English to you, that's going to be a red flag. Or if they have older tech, they don't have a goal of where tech is going to go for their network. So looking at those things are kind of big as agencies are looking at networks.
Yeah. And I know there's some agency networks will have more or less of a heavy hand in recommending or requiring certain tech that they use, whether they use that, centrally for their own management, and then require their agencies to also use them. And then other ones are just like, do
Use
what works
whatever,
for you.
right?
Use whatever,
Exactly.
right? Like,
Yep.
so there's that I think you should consider in how you do it. So some, I think the ones that are more built for newer agencies, they're more, right. They come with a bit of a playbook that you can borrow from, recommended tech stacks or sometimes required tech stacks,
Yep.
and things you can build in, or things like that. So it's a good segue into talking about tech stacks. I think generally,
Yeah, absolutely.
you and I were we represent vendors, Canopy Connect and HawkSoft, and I think we obviously play well together, and we always want our systems, to the extent possible, to play well together. They don't always, but
Yep, absolutely.
yeah, like when you think about an agency's tech stack, like a modernized tech stack, like everything used to be pen and paper and spreadsheets, and now like things evolve. I always say like everything devolves down to like it used to be a spreadsheet, and we've now automated like everything used to be a spreadsheet. And I'm not old enough to picture a world without spreadsheets, at least.
That's funny. That's funny. I was, as you just started that conversation there, I was thinking, when I started in insurance, so it was in like 2002, 2003. I got licensed in 2004. But I still remember quoting by paper and pencil. Like in a lot of carriers, it was like I could figure out your rate for your home insurance in like a minute. And now it's like, with the tech, right? So we still had the paper files. We were still figuring all of that out. It's really funny. And then now here we are. Yeah, but obviously we're both live in tech and we work in tech. I work at HawkSoft, so I think that the AMS is the center of the universe, right?
Of course.
But obviously, even setting that aside a little bit, your AMS is where your data lives.
Yeah.
And we can talk all day long about that, and we can talk the rest of your tech stack and that kind of stuff. But the AMS is really the center of the universe. It's like the brain of the human body, so to speak. And so that's where your downloads are happening. That's where nothing can get deleted out. That kind of stuff, right? But the silo problem that we kind of talk about in tech and in the industry isn't really a technology problem. Now, it can be, because there are some vendors out there that only allow you to use things that are connected to them, or that they've built. And so you can't go out on their, figure out who their vendor partners are, who integrates, and that sort of stuff, because you can only use their system that they've built and that they sell. The tech exists out there. We have the API, we have open APIs and that sort of stuff. But what's missing in a lot of these cases is the willingness to play nice.
Yeah.
And again, if we go back to some of our competitors that are out there, they don't allow you to open up the API a little bit, an ecosystem there. Or they're charging you for it. Now, in reality, the way that HawkSoft believes is your AMS and your data in it is your data inside the agency. That is yours. We're just stewards of that. We're not charging you for it or anything like that. We're charging you access to the program, yes. But at the end of the day, if you want to do something with that data, whether that's connect with Canopy Connect, whether that's an e-signature tool, a VoIP provider, something like that, yes, we have integration partners, and we have a slew of them. But you're independent for a reason. We want you to determine which is going to be the best fit for your agency. We also have an API key that agencies can request if it's not one of our vendor partners that we've currently vetted. Now that takes it onto them, but they can access that API and work with any vendor that they want. And really, they should be able to have to choose which vendor is out there that's going to work for them inside their agency.
Yeah. That connectivity is kind of a pretty critical piece. And obviously, if not everything is easily able to talk to each other, right? Ideally, we want to have like one-click direct data integrations, and like, which all sounds good, but it's also can be highly complex when you start thinking about like what data and whose data, like which one's the system of record. Usually your AMS is going to be a system of record, but a lot of times maybe you've got a CRM system, you've got something like Canopy Connect that's pulling in data, which is pulling from the carrier. And those may come in different formats, and there's some level of normalization that needs to happen before we send it into a HawkSoft or another AMS. The options there, or the ability to maintain and say like, okay, is this data still clean and accessible and trustworthy, and at what point was it transformed and how was it transformed? Like a lot of those things like do need to occur. Like we normalize data because we work with 400 carriers, and again, data comes in different ways. So there is a standardization that we provide, like a presentation layer, and then we try to get that in a uniform way that will work. But there's not like a real set standard. I work with folks at the Agents Council for Technology. I think HawkSoft's part of that as well, and we've got these work groups where we talk about data connectivity and silos and standards. And I'm like, well, even with all of us in a room, I don't think like it's going to be a challenge to get to someone's uniform standard. That's going to be a long play. So we do need sort of an independent body like ACT to help get us there, because everyone kind of works, all the companies will work in some level of their own best interest. There's a ton of companies out there that will live and breathe like their business is based off of like the fact that data does not connect. So they're the connectivity middleman, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of that going on, but being able to get that to all connect, I guess specific to like if HawkSoft is the center of the universe for an agency, what categories, I guess, of integrated products do you think are critical, or at least like highly important, highly recommended?
Absolutely. So for a newer agency, I always sit there and tell them, hey, you're going to have 3 pieces of things that you need. And there's no real complete order, but obviously an AMS. And we always tell people that you don't need an AMS if you don't have customers yet. Let's kind of, or if you don't have carrier contracts yet, because that's the data is going to be coming in now. We don't want to charge you at HawkSoft. We don't want to charge you for something that you're not going to use for 6 months. So get a little bit, maybe use a spreadsheet for a little bit or something else to get things under wraps. But then yes, get your AMS out there. But if you're going to do a lot of automation and email marketing, texting and stuff like that, you're going to want some CRM functionality. That's a possibility of one of your top 3 to 5 things that you want inside the agency when you're starting. Obviously, in our world now, you're going to have a VoIP phone system or something that's allowing you to text and integrate with your management system. And it could also integrate with your CRM. So it doesn't have to be one or the other. It could be both. But having a good phone system that also allows texting, integrates with this CRM and your AMS, fantastic things. I've also told people that they need to have an e-signature tool for document handling. And so, gone really are the days that somebody has to be sitting in front of you in an office. We integrated in my agency, we integrated e-signature tools a couple years before COVID hit. We also integrated video quote proposals and stuff like that. Those were things that were essential during COVID. And it was huge to us. It really set us apart inside the industry during that time. So really having those tools available, but then also, how are you getting the customer's data? And so do you want to have that general form that gets filled out in the agency? Or is it something like Canopy Connect where you're like, hey, we sign into this, everything comes over to me, you can review it and then have those key questions asked. You are more of an advisor rather than just a document note taker at that point. And so those are really the top things. I always say the AMS, a CRM for functionality, if you're going to use that piece, in automation, stuff like that. Some AMSs do have some light versions of CRMs available inside their product. And sometimes that's great for the startup agency or an agency who's not doing a lot of automated marketing. Your phone and texting platform, e-signature, and then your document handling tool to get documents and stuff like that and prior deck pages out there. The one that people always ask me about is going to be a comparative rater. And do I have to have a comparative rater? And I'm not dissing a comparative rater by any means out there. It's just there's a time and a place for it. And unfortunately, it's more of a tool to get the information into the carrier portals first, and then you end up going to the carrier website anyways and having to finalize it to get the actual rate. And so there are other tools that are out there, some other vendors, as well as some tools that different AMSs have that kind of bypass the comparative rater in a way to make it easier on agencies. I had a comparative rater in my agency a couple times because staff wanted it, but then they never used it. And so, we'd get rid of it. So my agency for the majority of the time has never had a comparative rater tool. And there's a lot of agencies out there that don't, and that's fantastic too. So it again depends upon the agency and how they want to function inside their agency.
Yeah, some are going to have a lot of access to a lot of carriers, and that saves a ton of time to be able to kind of do all that. I will say one of the advantages, one of the approaches that I love that HawkSoft takes is that you guys know what you are. You guys are,
Yep.
Right? You guys are centrally this AMS. And there's sort of two philosophies that you could take, which is to be fully open and like whatever we call it best of breed tools you want to bring those in. As opposed to like all-in-one systems or sort of closed systems where it's like, okay, you have, this is the AMS and this is the CRM and this is the rater and this is this, and they don't talk. They do talk to each other. They don't do much outside of that, or it is more of a challenge to try to bring in those external tools, or you're creating weird Zapier automations and things like that going on, which can get tricky, and it's got its limitations, but there's always that challenge of like best of breed versus all in one versus closed system, which are kind of like
Yep.
three different things. I always felt like the all in one solutions are always like decent options if you're just starting out, but they always have they're kind of like me. Like I'm mediocre at a whole bunch of things. The start as a human, and these sort of all-in-one solutions can be the same way, right? They get the job done just enough to say that, like, yeah, we could do that. But when you try to like, oh, but can we do the whatever customization is like, not really. That's not prioritized because we're trying to build 8 different tools into this one thing. So being able to specialize and do what you do best and that's if you can afford it, because that also tends to be more expensive to like just bring in a whole bunch of other things. You're not going to get any sort of like bulk discount or anything like that. We love bundling in insurance, but sometimes
You're right. Yeah.
like it's better to just piece together the best policy, right? Same with your tech stack, I think.
Picture this. You got a hot lead on the phone. They're ready for a quote, but then comes the dreaded question. Can you find your current declarations page and send it to me? Well, suddenly the momentum stops. You have to go digging to look for it. You have to wait. And that easy quote becomes a chore. It doesn't have to be this way. Canopy Connect turns that 30-minute scavenger hunt into a 10-second digital handshake. Your client just clicks your link, signs into their current carrier, and boom, you have everything you need to provide an accurate, competitive quote. It's bank level secure, SOC 2 compliant, and frankly, it makes you look like a tech savvy genius. Give your prospects the modern experience they expect. Join the thousands of insurance agencies leading the pack with Canopy Connect. Visit usecanopy.com/intake and see the difference for yourself, or just click below to find out. Canopy Connect. Insurance intake simplified.
I know at HawkSoft, you guys are very famous for this purple cow. I go to these conferences and I know you got a few of these different giant inflatable purple cows. Big Bessie, I believe, is the biggest one.
That's the big one. Yep.
That's the big one. You got little Bessies, mini, I don't know.
Yep. Little Bessie, many Bessies. We got them all.
Tell me more about the meaning, I guess, behind the purple cow.
The thing is that you can drive down the road, you can see a black and white cow, you can see brown cows. But if you saw a purple cow, you're probably going to stop and you're going to take a picture and you're going to share it with your friends. And that's really the premise behind the purple cow experience at HawkSoft is we don't have to do a lot of marketing. We don't have to sit there and pay a lot to advertise ourself out there. We have a purple cow experience that we talk about here at HawkSoft, and our customers share that. They share why HawkSoft is important to them. They share why people should join HawkSoft or use the platform and that sort of thing. And it came from a book by Seth Godin called The Purple Cow. But again, it's really differentiating yourself and creating that experience inside your agency, your business, whatever the case may be. It's not just framed to AMS or insurance, but it's really creating that experience to set you and the experience that end user has apart differently from your competitors. And we do a fantastic job with some of those things. I mean, when you talk about our customer service, it's not submitting a support ticket and waiting 48 hours to get something back. You can call, you can email, you can chat with them online. You can now also video chat with our tech support, which is fantastic. In all of those calls are getting answered most of the time, less than in 1 minute. And getting resolved 97% of the time. We resolve all of the issue on that first call without having to do callbacks. So that's a huge game changer with us. The other thing that we do is we don't do long-term contracts. And so I touched on it earlier where I said month-to-month agreements aren't necessarily good on a network level. But as a tech vendor, month-to-month agreements are a little bit better per se. And stuff. So it's really that experience that the end user, our agencies have with HawkSoft has really created what that purple cow experience is. So it's really a conversation piece. It's a relationship game. And it's funny because I get the question a lot out at trade shows. They see us with a big cow, and most of the time they have no clue what HawkSoft is, or they've vaguely heard of us, and they're trying to figure out what the cow is with why we are hawks, but not a cat. But it's funny. So it's really a conversation piece. And we've kind of gotten known for bringing that cow out a lot of places and stuff. And actually, Big Bessie or Little Bessie now, they both make road tours now. So agencies have utilized them as well as part of their branding at times, or for a network or for an event that they're hosting for their consumers and stuff too.
She's a celebrity.
She is absolutely. She has her own hashtag too out there, so it's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I see that reflected in your team. I've worked with several folks over at HawkSoft, from working with integrations and with marketing and with product and with customer support, and I see sales and whoever at a lot of events, and they're always super helpful and I think just there, and I think always delivering value and doing it with a smile on their face and enjoying it. And that goes, I participate in some of these like HawkSoft user group meetings and webinars and events and things like that. And this kind of extends into the customer base. So you're spot on in that, like, it tends to, that culture that I think has been built and curated over time goes across the company, goes into your users and the user group in those events. So it's really nice. It's like a secret sauce. And I think I was mentioning to you offline, the idea of like HawkSoft definitely not feeling like a giant soulless company, right? Like there's nothing but soul there, right? The fact that, we can still run into Sean Hawkins at an event or wherever is very cool, right? He's still active and around. Awesome. Well, I wanted to switch gears. I'll play a little game with you. So I stole some pictures from your LinkedIn. You're a well-traveled man, as we've mentioned. So we're going to play a game. It's called Where Would Michael Sit?
Nice.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
We're on a plane. You can only sit in these blue seats because
in the blue seat, because
for
then you
whatever
pay
reasons,
for the extras.
Yeah, your budget does not allow for those. You only get these blue seats. Which of these seats would Michael sit in? And let's add
Honestly,
some context. You live in
yeah,
what, Ohio, right? So you say
I
you're going
do.
from
Yes.
Ohio out west to like Las Vegas. Or you flying to me, you're in Phoenix, flying to Phoenix.
Okay.
So it's a good 3.5 hour flight or whatever it is. Just to keep that right. Like I fly to Vegas sometimes. I'm like, it's a 45-minute flight. I
Yeah.
don't care where I sit.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. For the longer term, you're going to have to choose. I'm going to go with 25. 25C is where I would go.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. So here's the thing. I do like window seats. Don't get me wrong, but not that I'm claustrophobic, but I hate being cornered in. And so I will sit in a window seat if it's a longer day or it's at nighttime and I'm going to nap or whatever. That's when because then I could prop up against the window. Most of the time, though, I want to be able to kind of stretch out my leg a little bit. Or if I want to get up and use the facilities, whatever the case may be, I want an aisle seat. So that's where I'm going to go. It's usually on the aisle right there in 25.
Gotcha. This close to the bathroom, though? That feels...
That doesn't bother me. I can sit there and chat with people as they're standing there waiting on the bathroom.
People person, man.
Yeah, doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me.
Nice.
So...
Yeah. All right.
Funny story though. I watched somebody come out of the bathroom once, and they did not have their. They were not all put together when they walked out. And so before, and I was sitting rather close to the bathroom, so I was nice enough to let them know they were not all put together. They had to finish what they needed to, before they walked down the aisle. So it's like, no one wants to embarrass themselves. So I'm good with
just
that.
Quietly pull them aside, and I'd probably go with 23. I'm also an aisle person, but I'm a little. I don't
Being
want
that
to be
close
too
to the
close.
bathroom, you're like, yeah,
because you get congregators,
Yep.
And I don't need that standing right next to me. But
I get it. I get it.
And then obviously closer to the front, a little better.
Yeah, no, it's actually funny. If I am traveling with my family and kids, I will sit towards the back all day long. And I'm like, we'll be the last ones to board or the last ones off the plane. Like, we will sit in the back all day long. And I think that's just, it's with the kids, right? So it's a little different. But yeah, I'm not going to pay for first class for my entire family. Are you kidding me? But the one picture that you just did have up of me too, it was really funny. And when you said we're going to pick a seat, I had to laugh because the one was actually of a private jet that I was on. And Delta actually booked me on that flight because there wasn't a Delta plane that went to that airport. And so they booked me from that airport up to, where was I going? Austin. And so it was a little 11-seater plane. And I was the only passenger on it. And so it's like, it was my own private jet that day. So it is funny.
You guys really ball out at HawkSoft.
Well, now, and that was actually the first question they asked me. They said, so how much did that cost? So I was like, listen, it was already included, like Delta booked it. It was not like $18,000 or anything. I did not spend that on my corporate card. We're good. So.
All right. Next one. This is a subway. I don't know what subway this is. Obviously, you got the door here. There's presumably a door on this side.
Yep.
As well. Which of these seats are you choosing?
I'm going to go with 5.
5.
Yep. I'm going to go with 5.
What's the rationale?
One, because I get motion sickness, ironically. And so if I'm sitting sideways or if I'm sitting backwards, it drives me nuts. So if hopefully I'm choosing 5 because we're going that way.
Right,
and we're going forward. Right. But then I can see who's coming in the door. I have this thing where I want to see and even at a restaurant, I sit to where I'm facing the door.
Yeah.
So I can see who's coming in and stuff. Now, granted, I mean, I could choose one of the side seats and everything. You could see that kind of too, but I don't know. That 5 would be typically where I'd go.
All right. Yeah, I'd probably go 3 or 8, whatever, same difference. You wouldn't want to be the person to be right there in 2 or 9. You're gonna take both. You're just like, nope, I'm gonna take 1, 2, and 3. I'm just gonna sit in 2. No, I wouldn't do that. I would take 3 because you always want a buffer seat. If you take 2, then unless it's crowded,
right?
No one's gonna sit next. No one's gonna sit next to you. But also, if someone does sit next to you, someone will sit next to you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
3, at least someone's gonna leave a buffer unless it gets crowded. 1, I feel is you're gonna get your phone snatched. You're gonna get your
Yep, someone's running
backpack
out.
taken. All
Absolutely.
right. This is familiar, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
You get to the airport, you got to go to the rental car or wherever, throw your bag up here. Where do you sit? And there are seats right here. We're going
facing forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now answer me this. How full is this van?
Here's the thing. The van's going to park there for like 5 minutes. You're the first one on. We're not sure who else is coming. But you don't want to be the jerk that's like, oh, someone pulled up, I'm going to go move. Like, you can't change seats once you sit down.
Yeah. I'm probably going to go with 3.
3?
To be honest.
3 solid.
And see, here's the thing. Like, I don't, like, if it was a full, I'm going to sit closer to the front, because if I have to pick my car, if I'm going to National or something, I'm picking my car, I want off there quick so I can find the car that I want, right?
That's a good theory.
So, right now, if it's where I know what car I'm already getting, it's already sitting there reserved for me, I'm going to sit actually further towards the back.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I'm going to sit right kind of in the middle there, around 3 or 4.
Solid choice, actually. I was going to go like 11 again.
Yeah.
I prefer to sit further away from people, I guess.
Yep. No, I get it. 100%.
That's what's revealing for me. But like, yeah, you'd probably be one of the later people off the bus. Yeah, I get that. Solid. All right. The dreaded waiting room at a doctor office or medical office. Got a lot of options here.
Yep. I'm actually probably going to go with
You're the first patient. No, you're not the first patient. There's no one in there, but there's people also waiting. They're like waiting to check in. So people are going to sit.
Yep. I'm going to go with 1. I'm all the way over there by myself, because if I'm in a doctor's office, like, don't come near me. Like,
yeah. I think that's the no-brainer answer there. Agreed. All right. This is a fun one. You walk into a conference room. Let's say you're going to you're an agency networks guy. You went to their corporate office. The door's over here. You walk in to do a little dog and pony show. I don't know. Where do you sit?
7.
7. Solid.
I'm facing the door, but I'm in between everyone when we're having a conversation.
Yeah. You mentioned the door, facing the door, door situation.
Facing the door. When you told me where the door was, I was like 7.
Yeah. Okay, same scenario.
Yep.
The primary person you're selling is already sitting here when you arrive.
Yep. Still going with 7.
Still going 7. I would do the same thing. Probably in both scenarios.
Yeah, I feel like sitting in the middle, like not at the head of the table like she is, but sitting in the middle, it's more relationship oriented rather than authoritative.
This is confrontational. If you sit here at 1, 6 and 4 is too close. Like, we got this whole room. If other people show up, you don't know who else has come to the meeting. You got buffer seats that can fill in. I like that.
Yes.
All right. Are you so we got some like big blockbuster movies coming out soon.
Yeah.
We've got Star Wars. We've got Marvel. I don't know what else, if you're into other shows. But let's say you're going to a movie theater. This is a nice big IMAX theater. Some seats are taken.
Yep.
You're there on let's say you're going with your family. You gotta pick 4 seats, 3 seats, whatever.
4. Yep.
4 seats.
Yep. Well,
where are we going?
Back row.
Back row. You're a distance guy.
Yep.
Back row center.
I want to take it all in, and I don't want people sitting behind me causing problems.
See, I'll tell you, if I was picking my own if you were picking your own individual seat, where would you sit? Like,
I'd probably go mid. So you're probably going to see me like right behind where all those people are already sitting. I'm going to go
like
middle.
right here. It's okay. All right. If I was solo, I would probably sit up here because I like that immersive experience.
Yeah.
Of like being in the movie. But if I was with my family, we'd probably go kind of middle towards the back.
Okay.
But my wife gets dizzy and like it's too much for her to take it all in. All right. First question, do you know which baseball park this is?
I don't know which baseball park this is.
I think this is the Cleveland Guardians.
Is it? Okay,
Park.
I can see
I don't know
that.
if you're a baseball guy.
But I've been to the Guardians, so that would actually make sense to me the way it's laid out. Yeah.
Yeah. You get this all access, pick your seat anywhere you want to sit. Money is
I'm
no
going
option.
behind home plate.
Going right here. All right.
Yep. Going behind home plate.
I'd probably choose like this, like just outside the dugout situation.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
That's probably
I was actually at a Dayton Dragons game, and we actually sat right around like the 140, the 140, 136 area. Kids loved it and everything. And I mean, and actually first baseline's not a bad one. I've actually sat on the third baseline quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like the behind the batter in home field or dugout area. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Behind home plate. There you go. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a great perspective as well.
Yeah.
Are you a Browns fan?
I am a Browns fan. Absolutely.
All right. Well, it's the Browns. I don't know what is it, Paul Brown Stadium? No, that's a different. Is it Paul Brown Stadium?
Yeah, it is Paul Brown. Yep.
I wasn't sure if Paul Brown Stadium was another name of another stadium. Again, anywhere you want to sit. I assume you're not sitting upper deck.
No, I do like. I mean, I love a suite. So if you can get me a 200 or 400 level suite, that'd be fantastic.
Hey, whatever Michael wants.
I mean, because then I'm getting my food. I can stand. I'm not crowded around people. However, most of the time, if I'm at the Ohio State game, I'm going to choose really like 130 or 129, which is closer because you're actually kind of close to the field. And I'm not with the people that are in the reserved like plushy seats and that kind of stuff. Like they're way beyond me, right? So I kind of like being close to the field. Yep. Yep, exactly.
I was actually thinking, going back to the baseball one, you'd probably find me over here because I'm actually not a big baseball fan, so I just go be in the club and drink it.
Oh yeah, there you go. Actually, yeah, the Terrace Club there. I've been in that club too.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, football. I'd probably do the same, right? That 131 right here, so you get a little end zone view.
Yep.
Get a little sideline action. It's always fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So that's my game. Appreciate you playing. I hope that was entertaining for people.
Actually, you can learn a lot about somebody by where they sit. So I'm not going to lie, right? So
it's funny that there's a picture I showed at the beginning where you take a selfie, and I know you've probably seen and met Heath Sheeran, who also famously loves to take his airplane selfies, and there's always someone in the back giving a little side eye.
Yes, absolutely.
When I was going to Vegas a couple weeks ago, I was like, all right, I'm going to do one of these quick selfies. But as soon as I went up here, I was like, man, that's a really awkward. I was like, that was really awkward. So I was like, okay, snap.
There was one I recently posted, actually, and I think it does. I don't. Actually, gosh, where was I coming back from? Tennessee. I was coming back from Tennessee, and I took a selfie on there because I kind of follow Heath in that regard. But actually, I use the Flighty app, and I track how many miles I've done for the year and then how many planes I have. So I'm matching my picture with actually that trip.
Okay.
One, so I can actually, Sean Hawkins always talks about my beard scruff right here and how I've grayed since I started working at HawkSoft. And I said, it's all the traveling. That's, so I'm trying to look at where I started in January versus the end of the year. But I took a picture and I was talking about relationships and people, like getting to know people. And I had a conversation with a vendor actually, who I had seen on the conference circuit for years, and they were on the same flight as me. We ended up in Atlanta together, but the picture I took in Tennessee has this grumpy looking guy behind me, and everyone like commented, "You should have talked to that guy. Like he needs a friend. You need to go talk to him." I'm like, yeah, I didn't really talk to him, but I did kind of see him as I was taking the picture. I kind of saw him back there, and I was kind of giggling, laughing. I'm like, yeah, he's a grump today.
That's funny. All right, Michael. Well, I appreciate you jumping on the podcast with me and helping us close out this season of Connected Conversations in Insurance. It's great to chat with you as always, and I'm sure I will see you in the next couple months, maybe in the June circuit or in the fall for sure. But yeah, until next time, appreciate you. Thanks for listening to the podcast, everyone, and see you soon.
Collecting insurance information sucks for everybody. Long forms and even longer phone calls are frustrating for prospects. And still, you're left wondering if what they told you was accurate. Now, there's Canopy Connect. Simply send your prospect a link, they select a carrier, and sign in. That's it. In seconds, you'll get deck pages, policy information, claims history, and much more. Canopy Connect, the insurance data intake platform.